Alrighty, so it's time to get the boat off, and I'm absolutely pumped about this, but I want to show you how everything sits on the car and the van. So if you've watched our vids, you would have seen the ALMAC loader and how the tinny goes on and the outboards in the back. I'll show you a bit more about that, but I haven't really shown you the trailer. Like, how do we get the tinny around? Well, same mob that does the loader and the outboard slide do a little trailer. So 38 kilos, it goes on the back of your van. And I ordered it online, so I never even seen it. All I did was take a few measurements of the size of this and the height of my spare tyre. And the fella at ALMAC just makes up these brackets that bolt on, and then you can slide your whole drawbar assembly in and your whole axle assembly in, and it fits in there beside or behind the van and in between the spare tyre. Look at that. So that's cool, eh? And the good thing about it, it's road regoed. So I've got a lot of light bar there. So if we're in places like, I can picture like Broome or where else, in South Australia, in Port Lincoln and stuff like that, if I want to park up somewhere cool and then tow it in like a kilometre or two to the boat ramp or even further, I can do that with this little trailer. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this off and set it up here, and then I'm going to tow it down the beach, and we're going to pull the tinny off down the beach. Because one thing with the roof loaders, you have to have your car pretty level, you know, and we're on a fair hill here. So as soon as you start to take it off, the tinny's going to want to go with the weight. So just a bit of a safety thing, make sure it's nice and flat. But check this out, would ya? Absolutely pristine. That is crazy. I'm gonna get it off, and then, oh, I just, it's so damn good. Look at the color of that water. A slight little offshore breeze. You know, float around out there and get onto a couple of reefies, hopefully. So there we go. You all know I'm not the best fisherman. And here is the finished product, mate. So it only takes you a couple of minutes to put together, and she's now ready to roll. So you just got to drop a few pins in the hinge joints, a couple of bolts in to put the tie rods on and the rollers, and then we're sweet to go. And one through the center here for the axle. So that's all good. Only need 17mm spanner and a socket. I use an impact gun down there, and then we're good to go. So I'll hook that on the car, and we'll roll down the beach where it's nice and flat, just down here. I'll take the boat off. That way, we're here for a week. I can just pull the boat in and out as much as I want, mate. So yeah, you don't need to take a trailer with you, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be a lot easier, and I'll use the boat a lot more because I can just drag it in and out and not have to leave it out on the beach and worry about it getting washed away or getting it stolen or something like that. So anyway, for me, money well spent. I'm going to take the tinny off for you. There's a little bit involved to it, but it makes it all super easy. So all you have to do is connect a couple of these ropes here. They go to the back of the loader and then up to the rear handles of the tinny. Now they're the right size. You set all this up when you do it your first time, and then you plug in your winch controller. Now mine runs off the Anderson plug that powers the caravan, so I have to have the car running because there's a voltage sensitive relay under the bonnet. So it means that it's not going to flatten the battery by running the boat winch, and it'll only work when the car's running. So it's sort of a safety thing as well. Up the front on the boat loader is the winch, and that'll let it down. So you just got to back your winch off and pull the boat back until it starts to tip. And then as you let the winch out, it'll just come down under its own weight. The only other thing you need is this little sort of fender that you put in the hitch, and as the back of the tinny comes down, the transom hits that as a pivot point and comes down. Stops the tinny swinging in under and hitting your car. I'll eventually try and adapt something to go to my ladder because that folds down far enough. I'll just put a bit of this sort of fender stuff on the front of the ladder, and that way I can ditch this all together and just use this because there's not that much weight. It's just used as a pivot point. Righto, so I'll just back this off. Sort of have to do a bit at a time, and then pull the tinny back. So you grab the tinny, pull it back on the winch, let a bit more out. Righto, once you get it back to the pivot point, then all you have to do is just keep coming down on the winch and the boat does the rest, mate. So these things here hold the bottom of it, and then once it hits the bottom of that, it'll just want to flip over. I'll show you, there's a little bridle in there that the winch is connected to, and I'll show you that. in a second. But that's it, it's a piece of cake, isn't it? I could probably lower it straight onto the trailer if I wanted to, but it's so easy to winch up, it's not funny. Come around here, Beck. You'll see that. Can you see the little bridle up in there? There's like a 3-rope bridle that the winch hooks to. And the only thing you got to do is just hold the front of it, especially in a bit of wind. The tinny wants to move around a bit, just put your weight on it. There you go, that's it. Tinny's down. Now all you do is lift these up, bit of weight, disconnect them, one either side, take your bridle off there, and then just hook your winch back up to your rack, and you're away, hey? But I'll show you what I leave in the tinny on the boat. So I've got my esky in there, and that doubles as a storage for like me life jackets and stuff. So my life jackets, rod holders, burley bucket, any light stuff like that that can stay in the boat. It's clamped in there and screwed to the seat. Saves me trying to put it in the car or whatnot, and it's a really good space saver. I don't have to put it in the van or the car, so that works a treat. And then once I get it all decked out on the trailer, I'll show you what all this stuff is. I've got all these little cool little brackets and mounts and stuff to make life easy, and it's lightweight and it works, and you can go fishing and everything's got its little spot. Hey, I'm becoming a master of storage on the road after 4.5 years in a caravan, so the tinny's no different. All right, let's get her on. Piece of cake. The last thing to go on is the motor. So anyway, I usually set everything up on the trailer, and then I'll push it nice and close to the outboard slide. That way I can just lift it off and drop it straight on. So to show you how this works, it all fits in here, it's super nice and neat. All I have to do is throw one strap over it just to stop it wobbling around a bit. So I'll take that off and I'll slide this out. So easy, so easy. So we take this strap off, and then we pull this locking pin out. So there's a travel pin there, and all that does is stop it sliding in and out this way. So we pull that pin out, don't want to lose that. Then you've got a little locking lever here as well for when you pull it out. So make sure that's extended so it'll slide past. Then all you do is grab it, look at this. It slides out and out and out, and only just goes in, hey? So close. Tilt him to get him past the rod, and then you're gonna go up. So as you go up, because the tiller locks, you just got to reach in there and throw the tiller down, and then lift the door up a little bit, and she slides down and sits like that. How good's that, mate? So it's just like a transom mount. You just bolt it on there, lock the lever in behind here to stop your motor moving, and then you just have to lift your tiller up and down. Hey, if you got your tilt pin in the right position, then the skeg sits neat in the V here in the holder. I just throw a ocky strap over it, and that's it. You just tighten up your transom mounts on the screws, and she stays there like that. It's so easy, mate.
What does it weigh?
Unreal. This here, the Merc. Now I'll tell you a little bit of a story. Originally, we were going to look at doing a 15 horsepower two-stroke, right? And I started looking right into them, and like now these days, they don't actually make two-strokes anymore for Australia. So the only one I could find was a Yamaha 9.9. And then they put a big bore kit in it to make it a 15 horsepower. That's the only new motor I could find, and it was down the Gold Coast somewhere. So, and then a lot of impoundments and freshwater fisheries now don't let you use your two-stroke motor in them. And then I'm thinking parts and whatever else. So I've started researching four-strokes, and this here, a 20 Mercury four-stroke, is only 7 kilos heavier than a Yamaha two-stroke. There you go. And that's a long shaft. So anyway, I'll get it off and I'll show you a bit more about it, but this thing goes, eh? It's good, it's quiet, you don't have to premix fuel, it's got an intelligent tiller, heaps of go, and easy to look after. So we're stoked with this one. That's it, that's the story. That's how we ended up with the Merc anyway. So what I've got to do is take this strap off, wind this off, and then I pretty much just like squat it off the car, if you know what I mean. Like just get my shoulder under it. And it is heavy, like it'd be nicer if you had a couple of people you know, but I can do it on my own, which is a good thing. So these are your transom mounts. All you got to do is undo them. Just lefty loosey, righty tighty. That's what you taught me in it, dear. Anyway, get them off, because then all you have to do is just lift him straight onto the back of the boat. So it ain't going to fall off anywhere. You'll see that gap opening up on this side. See that, Beck, in this side? Yeah. As it loosens off. Alright. Now, there's the transom, and then you just sort of like make it one movement. You can pick it up, move it across, put it down. So I'll show you how it's done. And down. There you go. Hey, I wouldn't want to be walking at me like 20 or 30 meters, but it's easy enough just to do that. Super easy with two people. And the same to put it back in as in return. Yeah, thanks for your help, Dick, you know. Anyway, and I already know where mine goes because it's got the marks there from last time. So wind him in on the indents on the transom, and I know it's going to be in the same spot every time. Do one up, do the other one up, and we're happy days. So that's it. That's the setup. That's how we get the boat off. And the gear we use, the trailer, the boat loader, and the outboard slide, they're all by the same mob, so all by ALMAC. It all matches up, and it's all made to work together, and it works a treat. And then obviously to pack it up, it's just the same in reverse. All right, before I put the tinny away, I'll give you a quick rundown on it and walk around how I've set it up and tell you a few features about the tinny, the motor and the gear I've used. I get a lot of questions from you guys about doing a rundown video, so you can have a bit more info about it. It's a MAKOCRAFT 376 topper tracker. It's made on the Gold Coast by a bloke called Timmy Stessel, absolute legend. Price, the whole package, that is boat, motor, paint, floor inside, and the rear rod holders and transom mount bracket, exactly as I've got it. It's about $8 grand, all right? That's how much it is for the boat and motor package. It's called a 376 topper tracker Black Ops edition. I'll show you the sticker on the back. It's a cool little tinny, mate. I love it. So one of the reasons, or a couple of the reasons I chose it as a roof topper is that it's light, it's 80 kilos, and it's also got a lot of freeboard. So it's lower, it's got lower sides than some other models, but when you sit it in the water, it actually floats a lot better. So you're not actually losing too much, you know? You get just as much freeboard when it's in the water as some of the high-sided models from other dealers. Did a lot of research into a tinny. I've had 4.5 years to think about it. And these guys have come up trumps, and I'm stoked with it. Sits in the water, super stable, and it handles like it's on little rails. It's actually got, I'll show you the back of it. It's got the edge tracker system. So see out on the outside here, you've got these two sort of channels there and there. So when you're hooking along, it turns like a little go-kart on rails, and it also super stable when you're walking around in it with a couple of people flicking lures and that. So I can't speak highly enough of it. I'm stoked with the tinny, and it sits up there super nice because it's not so high and deep. It keeps the profile of the whole show down, and it sits nice on the car and looks good. $550 for paint. That's just wattle paint or something, but it protects the sides a bit, and it looks a bit better than just a bare alley tinny. That's just my personal choice. Inside, a couple of seats, obviously, and then rod holders at the back. Flush mounted rod holders and a transom mount for the sounder bracket. There you go. Now I run a Garmin sounder, a Garmin 7 SV. I got that online. I buy all my fishing gear online from Anaconda. I find they're the best price. So in here I've got my rods, my landing net, my sounder, all my tackle and that. I just buy it online through the club membership and get it sent out to wherever I am, because they send it all around the country and we're always in a different spot. So it works perfectly. What else can I tell you? Mounts. I use all the RAILBLAZA gear for mounting my rod holders, stuff for nav lights and holding GoPros, like this boom here that swings around. And it also got lots of cool gear, like these little storage caddies and the starport that's holding the esky in. There's a caddy over there on the other side, and there's also my filleting table. So look at that, that's cool. It's even got a drain hole that hangs out the side, so all the blood and guts go down there. And then a little dual fishing rod holder with a storage caddy in the middle. It's cool gear, eh? If you ever need anything, jump on, check out these guys. You can deck out a tinny pretty sweet with all that stuff. And then this gear here, the padding on the seats, is just off eBay. It's called EVA boat decking, and it's adhesive one side, padded the other. And I just stuck it on when the tinny was new, and it's been bloody brilliant. So there you go. Oh, if you didn't know how I powered up my sounder, I used my jump starter pack. And I just run the 12-volt ciggy in there and turn it on, and it runs it all day, mate. No dramas. And then I just charge that up again in the car when I get back each time. So a little 12-litre fuel tank, ran Mercury 20, EFI 4-stroke. So it gets up and boogies, mate. This does like nearly 50k an hour, this tinny, just with me in it when I've loaded it right. And there you go. Sits nicely on the little ALMAC trailer that I've showed you. And yeah, happy days. That's the tinny.